Welcome back to the show. We have Chad Wilson joining us now from the award-winning Mega Agent team in St. Charles County, the Chad Wilson Group. Chad, thank you so much for being back on the show.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Well, Chad, let's talk about the process today of how our viewers should go about finding the right realtor for them.
Sure. Best way is probably personal referrals. So talk to somebody that you know that's recently sold a house and see how the experience was. You know, if you did a good job as a real estate agent, that person's going to tell their friends honestly that you did a good job. And if you did a bad job, they're going to tell you or tell that person that they did a bad job. So that's a really, really good, effective way to find somebody. But if you don't know anybody and you want to do some own research yourself, check online. So there's a lot of sites out there that will give reviews. Facebook and Zillow are two that come to mind. So go check out their reviews on both of those. People are honest again. They are going to tell you very straight up if the person did a good job or if they did a bad job. Another very important aspect, I think, is to interview the agent or agents. I would interview multiple ones and find the one that you think completely understands your needs and desires and what you're trying to do. Because sometimes it may not be about price. Sometimes it may be about other factors like the day that you have to move, or there's other things that matter. So make sure that when they tell you the list price that they recommend, that they're able to defend that value. It's not just something that they make up. So that's one of the most important things that they will do, is recommend a list price that's going to get the home sold, not just list. So photography is another thing that they really need to do well. One of the things we say, you only get one shot at a first impression, but first impressions these days aren't done when the person walks through the door. The first impression is done online. So they're already excited and know the features when they walk into that home. They remember it from the pictures online. So the photography has to be really good. We have a phrase that anyone can list a home, but a good realtor will price it and market it to sell it. So that's the most important thing you're trying to do, is sell the home.
That's a great phrase. Do you have any examples of what you mean by that?
We do, actually. We have an example for you that we'd like to show. This was a house that we had a listing right up the street, and this house that the lady called us, she had been on the market for 118 days. It didn't sell, so she called us to come take a look at it. We went and looked at the home, and when we did our analysis, we actually thought that the house was priced too low, which is kind of flies in the face of conventional wisdom. If the house isn't selling normally, you think it's priced too high, but we felt that it was priced too low. We priced it $7,000 higher than the list price when it expired. Redid the pictures. Again, to our point of photography, our pictures are very, very good. Redid the narrative, so wrote up the description on the house and made sure everything was accurate. There's sometimes mistakes are made, and in this case, one of the mistakes was the square footage was missing. So if somebody's looking for something, 1,500 square foot or bigger, the square footage showed up as 0 in this case, so it didn't show up in any searches. So we made sure everything was accurate. We made sure the pictures were really good, and we put it on the market and sold it in 3 days at full price. So that was a nice success for us.
That's an incredible story. Congratulations, and kudos to you. That really shows your professionalism, and this is really why you are a top producer. So thank you for giving us that example, and those images really helped us to see the difference in what you're talking about. So we've now talked about things to look for when hiring a listing agent, but what are things that we maybe shouldn't weigh so heavily?
Sure. I think one of the things that a lot of people will look at and consider is the list price that the agent recommends. So not everybody recommends the same price. Looking at comps is very subjective. So how does that agent look at the comps? How does that agent defend the value that they propose to you that the home should be listed at? So just because one person may be higher than another, just because you list it at that price doesn't mean it's going to sell at that price. And there's a very big danger in overpricing a house, just like there's a danger in underpricing a house where you leave money on the table. So that's one of the things is to make sure that it's priced correctly.
Sure.
And that the agent can defend the value, because during contract negotiations, if we get a low offer and you can't defend the value, you're not going to be a very effective negotiator. So you need to make sure that you do that well. One of the other things that I think people tend to focus on, and I understand it, but they focus on the commission. And if somebody may come in and do the listing for a slightly less commission, they may consider that. And I would just ask them to just think about that. Just because you have a higher commission doesn't necessarily mean you're going to walk away with more money. Because in the end, most sellers' goal is to net more money. So I think the good agents out there, and there's a lot of them out there, but they consider themselves master pricing experts, and they consider themselves professional negotiators. And those are really the skill sets that you're looking for to net the most money. So I think a lot of that will come out in the interview process when you interview that person, and you'll develop a connection with them, and I think you'll know.
Yeah, I definitely think so. And great advice today, Chad. Thank you so much for being back on the show.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Of course, anytime. And if you have any questions, reach out to us online, AmericanDreamNetwork.tv, and we'll be right back with more of the show.